Hello.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Hi.
Okay, so we both grew up in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
You're half Korean.
Mm-hmm.
You have a mother who is full Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother is so Korean.
100%.
All right, so can you, just for my listeners, can you give them a rundown of what is the state of sex in Korea?
Are you talking in terms of when I was living there or now?
Now and then and all of it?
I think it's different from when we used to live there and then now. But I will say that overall, they're a bunch of prudes. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
It's still taboo to show any cleavage or dress a little provocatively, but I will say that when I went recently, I've seen more and more people be more free. I saw women, Korean women with a tattoo walking around shopping, which back then when we were growing up, I would never see such a thing, ever. A lot of people credit the new K-pop stars for trying to move forward in terms of that kind of thing. So I think that's really great. People should be able to express themselves, but there's still a bunch of prudes.
What if I told you that I have recorded 3 different interviews with full-blooded Korean citizens who are all having sexually liberated sex with multiple partners, and several of them are married and their spouses are on board?
I mean, I think that's pretty shocking. No?
We all got secrets. We all got secrets. We all got crazy glass and days so oven kept in hiding several bleaching monitor oven kept we all got
From Kurtco Media, I'm Samia Mounts, and this is Closet Ed. Okay. Pine cones. I am so excited about today's episode. So, as you know by now, I grew up mostly in Seoul, Korea. I was a military kid, and I lived on the American Army post there, but after graduating high school, I returned to Seoul many times to work as a voice actor and session singer. It's actually where I got my start professionally, back in high school. So I've spent about a third of my life there total. I think of it as my home city. Well, sort of. The military base I grew up on is mostly gone now, and I lose a few more friends there every year to normal expat migration patterns. But still, Seoul has my heart, and the country and people of Korea will always be dear to me. Now, the thing you have to understand about Korea, like my girl Holly was talking about at the top of the show, is that as far as things like social progress and sex positivity go, they're typically a few decades behind wherever the U.S. is. For example, here in the U.S., we started really accepting the existence and validity of gay people in the late 90s, early aughts. They're just starting to get there now. Korean culture is, like most cultures, heavy on the patriarchal sexual suppression. It's a place where women are expected to move from their parents' home to their husbands and remain faithful for life. And to be fair, men are expected to do the same. But men are also basically expected to have extramarital sex. And sex work, while technically illegal, was on prominent display in various red light districts all through my years growing up there. New laws have pushed it further underground, but I promise it's still there. And up until 2015, it was actually a crime in Korea to cheat on your spouse. This law was put in place mostly to protect women, since divorce was so heavily stigmatized there for so long, and women had so few rights. The adultery law actually provided one path of legal recourse for women who otherwise would be left destitute after a divorce. Now that divorce is more common, that law is long gone, thank goodness. But the fight for equal rights for women and LGBTQ+ people is far from over. And the state of sex in Korea is still very complicated. There's a lot of repression. Talking about it openly is still extremely taboo. Infidelity is tolerated for men, but a huge no-no for women, although of course it happens. Sex outside of marriage is heavily frowned upon, although of course it happens. So, with all this in play, you'd think it would be tough to find Koreans who are doing things differently and willing to talk about it on a microphone. But it's not. It's really not. I found a bunch of them. Okay, Let's meet today's guest.
My name is Youngho, and I'm a data scientist. I've been working for a startup for about 4 years now, and I'm happily married. Her name is Jiyoung, and she's a teacher. She teaches history at middle school. So we started dating back in, 2009, I think. So yeah, it has been a while, and we have been married for about 5 years now.
Youngho and Jiyoung are the most normal-looking couple you've ever seen. Imagine an adorably bookish, bespectacled couple of sweethearted teddy bears, and that's them. But like everyone, there's much more to these two than meets the eye.
Well, basically, we are not necessarily maintaining a monogamous relationship. Yeah, you might say this is an open marriage. So we have been seeing other people. We actually have this little circle of friends that we are actually seeing together, and we hang out, and, that's just basically what it is.
Okay, so how did we get here? Youngho wanted to tell this story all the way from the beginning, so grab your popcorn. Here we go.
So I started very early. I think I was 14 or something like that. So I think I was still in the middle school when I first had it.
He means when he first had sex.
Yeah.
What was your first time like?
Embarrassing. It was just literally happened on the fly in the worst of places, really. It was in a bathroom of a railroad car.
Embarrassing? This all sounds pretty hot to me. Cue the 70s porn music. Youngho's class was on a school trip. They'd taken an overnight train to their destination, the sun-soaked beaches of Busan.
There used to be this kind of famous route. The end of the line is the station right next to the beach. You see the sunrise and that kind of stuff.
So in the middle of the night,
when everybody was asleep and we weren't, things just happened.
Come on, Youngho, spill the tea. What kind of things?
I don't remember much of the finer details of it, but it just happened. And I just felt like, is this it? I mean, is this why people are is this something that everybody is crazy about?
Okay, so, sexy midnight train setup aside, this was not, in fact, a satisfying first sexual encounter for many reasons. First of all, our baby Youngho was too young.
I mean, I was 14, right?
He was barely into puberty. He had read about sex in books at the library, but he wasn't ready to actually have it. It was awkward and stressful.
It didn't last long, and it was pretty messy, and obviously there was no protection or anything. So, yeah, a little bit worried about it too. Nothing happened afterwards, but,
This is the thing that always makes me wonder why so many social movements want to stop teenagers from learning about sex and protection, because it's you're not going to stop them.
Well, I mean, from Korean perspective, they don't teach anything about it at all. I mean, they teach the mechanics of it, the biology part of it, what constitutes the male part and the female part and all that, but they don't actually tell you anything about sex and, any of that.
So smart. We don't want the teens having sex, so let's not teach them anything about sex. Ignorance is protective, right? Yeah. No, it's really not. This really, really does not work. This was Youngho's sex education.
We had what they call purity class.
Purity class?
Yeah, we had purity class. And what that means, you might have somebody from church or even sometimes pharmaceutical companies for some reason. And what they would do is they would bring a piece of rice cake, deok.
Deok is a Korean word that describes a specific kind of rice cake. It's a very common ingredient in Korean cooking and comes in many shapes and sizes, but in this case, he's talking specifically about a cylindrical piece of deok, like what you'd find in the popular street food dish, tteokbokki. It's basically a very phallic rice cake.
What they would do is that they will peel it off from the plastic bag wrap or whatever it is, and they will just pass it down to the students, every student in this class. So everybody touches it, and after, circles back, she would always say, "Are you going to eat this? Are you going to eat this?" That was basically the extent of kind of sex education that I had in middle school and high school. That's pretty much it.
If you, like me, grew up around that uniquely American brand of evangelical Christianity, this probably sounds familiar. I was also forced to take part in this ridiculous routine in high school. Except they used a Butterfinger instead of a piece of deok. And it happened in my Christian youth group, not in school. I have many thoughts on how fucking dumb this is. Why are we comparing our bodies to pieces of food changing hands? It is not the same thing.
Definitely not.
You can wash a body.
Yep.
Okay, so even though our sweet young Youngho was subjected to this insane sex-negative bullshit, he still had unprotected sex with a classmate at the tender age of 14. Are you listening, religious educators? I'm using the word educator very loosely here. All right, so after that first disappointing encounter, Youngho eventually scored his first girlfriend.
So during high school, I dated a girl for many years, and I had a very messy breakup with her. And after that, as people would say, I had this kind of like whoring stage, so to speak.
Slut phase.
Yeah, slut phase or whatever you call it.
Side note, Youngho is a really common Korean name for boys. But if you're anything like me, you've probably been snickering this entire episode about how in English it sounds like Young Ho. So that was intentional. After our interview, Youngho admitted he'd chosen this fake name because of that. I just love him. Okay, end of side note. So now Youngho is in college, in the middle of his slut phase, and he meets his future wife, Jiyoung, at a social gathering. He was drawn to her instantly.
We clicked. We clicked together. We had almost identical interest on the stuff that we like, music, hobbies, and all kinds of stuff. We just kept talking and, go for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, and I initially thought I just met this really wonderful friend, but I just found myself that I was actually falling for her.
And the story of their early relationship is as wholesome as fudge. After meeting, they spent a year developing a close friendship. And then Youngho finally told Jiyoung how he felt about her. And she said?
She basically said, I like you too.
Aww.
That was it. I mean, it was just a very simple sentence, but it was probably one of the best things I heard in my life.
My heart. It's so cute, it hurts. And they really are cute. They're like a matching set. The kind of couple you just know will grow old together. But Youngho was Jiyoung's first everything, and he was still recovering from his really toxic high school relationship. So even though they'd been friends for a year, once they were dating, they took things really slow.
She never dated a guy before, or a girl for that matter. I mean, she never dated anyone. And everything about it was very slow because we just needed to figure things out, very slowly because this was completely new to her. We didn't have sex until maybe about a year after we started dating, which is, I think, quite rare these days. I just wanted to give her enough time so that she could actually wholeheartedly accept me. At the same time, it was quite frustrating that I had stopped doing all that. And of course, I was 19, 20 and, whatever.
You were horny.
I was horny. Yeah. So it was challenging, but I think it was worth waiting.
See what I mean about the wholesomeness? I think we have this idea that you can either be wholesome or slutty, but not both. Youngho is both, and I am here for it. Okay, so after a year of waiting, they finally hooked up when everybody felt ready on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. I asked how it went because I'm nosy like that.
It went okay.
Did she have an orgasm?
I don't think so. Not at that time.
Do you remember the first time you gave your wife an orgasm?
Yeah, I think I do. It was, I think, on my third attempt.
Nice.
So to speak.
So not too long after that.
Not too long after. Yeah, so we had our first time on the Christmas Day. Not long after that, we had it again a couple of days later. She felt slightly more comfortable than the first time. And on the third time, I think, which was about a day later, I think, yeah, that was when she finally felt that.
This makes my heart swell with pride for young Youngho. What a mensch. Ooh, time for a teaching moment. You may or may not have heard of something called the orgasm gap. If not, it refers to the untenable, intolerable, absolutely unacceptable gap between orgasms experienced by men and women in this world. It's like the pay gap, but for orgasms. Because we've trained everyone to believe that a man's orgasm is the supreme goal of all sex, and the marker for when sex is officially over. So misguided. And because we've also trained men to believe that pleasing a woman sexually is a really difficult, unattainable goal because, women's equipment is supposedly so complicated and tough to figure out, we have this ugly situation where men have way more orgasms than women. Which makes no sense when you consider that many, maybe even most women are capable of multiple orgasms in one session and most men are not. Based on biology alone, women's orgasms should be outpacing men's by like 10 to 1, but patriarchy has robbed us of this beautiful potential we have. This is merely one of the many reasons we all need to rise up and abolish the patriarchy. More orgasms for women? Thank you for attending my TED Talk. The next decade of Youngho and Jiyoung's relationship was a pretty smooth ride. They were a totally normal, monogamous young couple. But they were both ambitious high achievers, and life started lifing. For more, you'll have to stick around after the break. Early on in their relationship, Youngho and Jiyoung endured a lot of separation. Youngho had to do 2 years of compulsory military service, a requirement for all young Korean men, and Jiyoung spent a year studying abroad in Europe. The separation was hard, but they made the best of it.
We did an awful lot of Skype sex.
And when they were together, they had a few pregnancy scares, so Jiyoung went on birth control. But when her parents found out about that, all hell broke loose. Her conservative parents had no idea their sweet baby girl was having sex. The thought!
After that, it was kind of intense. Her parents forbid us to see each other.
Which, of course, had the opposite effect.
Yeah, sort of.
After years of sneaking around, using friends to pass messages and meeting up in other cities just to get some alone time together, they finally got married. But by that time, Youngho was already a year into some intense postgraduate work in the U.S. Jiyoung's career was going well in Korea. She couldn't just pick up and join him there. She'd have nothing to do. This was their second stretch of long-distance relationshiping, and it got really, really lonely. His first year away, Jiyoung came to visit during winter break, and when she left, Youngho knew something had to change.
I was living alone in this student housing thing in the middle of nowhere. And when she left, I came back to my apartment, and I just had this feeling, I can't even describe it, but this emptiness, like the warmth of it, like the warmth of this place, human warmth and all that, completely gone. And I just couldn't take this anymore. So after she went back, we actually decided to talk a little bit about what we should do. I was very lonely. I didn't necessarily wanted sex or anything. I mean, that was not that. I mean, I just needed some form of human contact, emotional and, physical intimacy and that kind of thing.
What about for her? Was she feeling that same kind of loneliness?
She kept on saying that all the time. We talked to each other every day, whatever means that we had to stay connected. But then things got kind of out of control because she just felt so lonely. And of course, we had our apartment and, we had our place. So she was living there alone, no longer with her parents. So she just felt increasingly lonely. She even said that she felt like she was in this kind of solitary confinement.
So they talked options.
Yeah. So here's the juicy part, I guess. We had this long discussions about what to do with it. And we kind of decided that we should just try to see somebody else.
Youngho, you make it sound so easy.
But of course, it takes a great deal of discussions to even have this talk because we never did this. I mean, I never cheated on her. She never saw anyone before me. And we just felt like this is going to be a temporary arrangement and we can just continue. Nobody will know this so long as we feel discreet. And we are not the type of people who would say anything about this at all to outside world.
Was it your idea or her idea to try an open relationship?
She actually came up with this idea first, not necessarily agreeing with it, but she was saying things like, I knew this girl and, they were doing long distance and because this is going to be a semi-permanent situation for them, they decided to try this out.
The power of social permission, pine cones. So, Jiyoung came up with the idea, but Youngho was nervous. He wanted to make sure it would really sit well with her before doing anything himself.
I actually made her do the first move, so to speak.
And things moved quickly from there.
Like, surprisingly, it was quite fast. Like, after 3 weeks after we had this conversation, she said, no, I met this person. We had coffee, we had meals and whatnot. And I think it was only a couple of days later when she said, oh, I slept with him. And I was like, oh, really?
But in spite of how fast it went and that initial, oh, really, reaction, Youngho's overall feeling about this was positive, which also surprised him.
I feared that it would actually damage me psychologically, but, surprisingly, I just didn't feel that. I didn't feel jealous. In fact, I felt happy that she was actually not sitting alone in her apartment and, just biting her fingernails or whatever. Just not alone. So that was a relief for me.
And then Youngho found himself a friend with benefits.
She brought me into her apartment once, and, that's when, the whole classic Netflix and chill thing. That's just how it is.
And how was it?
Truth to be told, like I said, I never had sex with anyone else for a good 10, 11 years or so. So things were rather rough, rather awkward at the beginning because every person is different, but she made it much more comfortable. She just led the way, so to speak. And that was great.
This temporary arrangement was working really well. Youngho and Jiyoung were still closely in touch, but no longer so desperately lonely. Then COVID hit, and one of the many casualties of that terrible time was the funding that was allowing Youngho to study in the US. It dried up, and he had no choice but to return to Korea and figure things out. So that meant the temporary arrangement, over.
So we just kept on, going back to monogamous again.
But Youngho was devastated. Not about the monogamy thing. He'd had a whole life plan based on getting his doctorate in the States. And now that was just gone.
And I was, a little bit on the older side to find new jobs, fresh new jobs. I never had a job in Korea before.
His mental health was in crisis, and it took a toll on his marriage.
She was the breadwinner at this point. She also had to endure me going through all these mental breaks. She didn't say anything negative or anything about that at all. She was always being supportive, but, it was stressful to her as well.
And one day, Jiyoung shocked him.
Out of nowhere, she says, I can't do this. I need something to relieve this stress. Why don't we just revive this arrangement again? She was convinced that it could be quite therapeutic because when I was gone, she would be really depressed. But then seeing this person made her actually come out of that.
Did that hurt when she brought up that idea again? Or were you kind of like, yeah, this makes sense?
I was a little bit confused, actually. But then, I trust her completely. And of course, the bottom line is that I love her. And then, we have an absolute trust to each other. And I knew that she was not saying all this to taunt me or to make my mental health worse. And she's a very solid, logical person.
She was looking for a solution and she offered a solution.
Mm-hmm. And usually she's always right. She's almost always, right. 99% of the time.
I'm going to send her this recording. At this point in our interview, I told Youngho how moved and impressed I am with the way he handled this moment. He was in the middle of a mental health crisis, and I think it's fair to say that most people would be thrown by something like this even on a good day. It's a testament to the trust in their relationship and the emotional maturity they managed to cultivate together throughout their 20s that Jiyoung was able to say, hey, husband, I get that you're depressed, but I have needs too, and I know you can't fulfill them right now, and I love you and I support you, but can I get the go-ahead to take care of myself while you're figuring your life out so I don't go crazy with you? So, Youngho and Jiyoung decided to open up their marriage again. But this time, Youngho had one major condition.
We really need to stick with the people that we know of. We're being honest, and we are very close enough, and they were never going to snitch out or anything.
He was very concerned about this getting out. By only getting involved with close friends they trusted, they could better ensure their privacy and avoid any negative consequences. And luckily, Jiyoung had recently found out that a couple they were already friends with were on a little experimentation journey themselves.
How to put this, non-conforming stuff. Let's put it that way.
So what kind of stuff?
Having other people on board, so to speak.
Like threesomes,
And,
couple swaps, things like that?
Yeah,
Group
that type.
sex? Parties? Kink play?
Yeah, that also.
Okay, so like a lot of exploration.
Like lots of exploration, yeah. On the surface, this couple also looks perfectly normal and, goody two-shoes. Like nobody would expect them that they would actually go for this.
Just like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Youngho was not really in the mood for sex, but Jiyoung's old boyfriend was no longer available, and she thought maybe, just maybe, planning a sexy little adventure with this other couple with Youngho, in spite of his diminished sex drive, might help ease him out of his depression. So
we just decided to have some kind of like weekend escapade in a fancy hotel.
And it went well. Really well.
Oh, it's fucking awesome, it really was. Initially, I wanted to take it slow, but then, I just couldn't take it slow anymore because once it got into it, it's like, yeah, I need this. It felt so natural. I never really felt confident in my body, and I was being a little bit nervous about it. We all went into the hot tub and we just tried to experiment a little bit. And within 10 minutes or so, I didn't thought much of it anymore.
Obviously, I asked for details. What happened in the hot tub? We all want to know.
Initially, we just started off with group sex, really. We were having sex with each other's partners. It just turned me on greatly just watching others. I never had a chance to explore it, but when the other guy was having sex with my wife, that turned me on so greatly. I didn't expect that to happen, really. I was immediately energized. So that's when I knew that, we need to do this as much as we could. I knew sex was always a great part of my existence because it's one of the most intimate and honest moments in your life. And I always wanted to have that and full honesty and all that. And this was the solution for it.
After that first successful encounter, Jiyoung and Youngho expanded their circle of playmates to a total of 8 people, including them, 3 couples, 1 single woman, and 1 single man.
It's like multiple friends with benefits.
And beyond discovering how much he likes to watch, Youngho also discovered he's not straight.
I would consider myself bi. This is something that I didn't really fully realize. I realized that I have a fascination and appreciation of the male physique. It's something completely new to me. Again, that was another big discovery that I had.
So as far as experimenting sexually with men, how much have you done?
Blowjobs.
And you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did.
I need to take a moment here. This is so good. Listen, if you happen to be a bisexual man who is suppressing his bisexuality and passing as straight because it's easier and you have all kinds of shame about these urges and desires that you've been told make you less of a man, let me say this loud and clear for you, my friends. What you just heard, that's a real man. That's secure masculinity. That's full humanity. Want some? Come and get it. The world is open to you. You get to make the rules. Fuck patriarchy, fuck homophobia, and fuck every voice in your ear telling you that same-sex desire somehow makes you less masculine. It's bullshit. It doesn't. Give me a bi man any day of the week. They are, in my experience, by the way, the best lovers. Hear that, ladies? Get you a bi man too. Gents, you are also welcome. Okay, back to Youngho. I asked him who in his life knows about the adventures he and Jiyoung are consistently having within this close group of friends.
Other than these people, which is consisted of 2 couples, 1 man and 1 female. So we're talking a group of 8. Other than those people, this is literally just sworn secrecy. Nobody really knows anything about this at all.
Lucky us, Pinecones, lucky us. And, what would the consequences be if this got out?
It's going to be pretty much problematic for all of us, all parties involved, because all of us have this facade of being, very straight, very normal. Yeah, it's going to be a big problem for us.
What do you think the consequences would be?
I don't want to think about this at all, but no, it'll be for my wife, since she is teaching at a public school. This is going to be a huge problem because they still judge people at work for their personal life. You see like all these news stories where an unmarried elementary school teacher goes on a like vacation with her boyfriend to Bali, and they post some scantily clad pictures like bikinis on her Instagram, social media, and the parents want them to be fired for that. I mean, that happens all the time. If somebody really finds out about what I have been doing, what she have been doing, what all the others, if any of this leaked out, this is going to be pretty bad for all of us. Yeah, so I don't want to be found out.
He told me that not only would all of their jobs be in danger, their relationships with their families would be as well. Total social pariah status. So I had to ask, why take the risk of being on this podcast in the first place?
My wife was still very hesitant about it when I said I'm going to come to this podcast and tell my stories about, what I haven't gone through. And, just like this arrangement right now is therapeutic to me personally and my psyche and, my confidence as a human being and as a sexual being also. I think this is also a part of therapy in a way. This is literally my first time ever that I actually talk about this to somebody other than this circle.
Do you ever fantasize about a world where you could be transparent about all of this and there would be no judgment?
I think about this all the time. I just don't understand why people are making judgments, like extremely harsh judgments about what people do sexually. So long as it's not coerced or so long as it doesn't involve any types of violence, why not? There's nothing that I do that would actually harm people. We are in this consensual agreement and we are having like so much damn fun. This is all beneficial to all of us. I mean, that's how I see it. And, before I actually came to this, I did ask my people about this. They are all pretty much in agreement with this. This is helpful. If there's any advice that I can give to anyone, just be honest with your own desires and feelings. Because again, I realize after all this time, suppressing any of that or like denying any of my own desires and my feelings, that actually gives you consequences, far greater consequences.
Like what?
Mental stress, low self-esteem, and all that kind of stuff. So again, my advice is that if you have some feelings about yourself, be it sexual or not, if you try to deny yourself, just stop that, accept you for what you are. For me personally, and for my wife for that matter, this has greatly been beneficial.
We all got secrets. We all got secrets.
And there you have it. Group sex is good for mental stress, low self-esteem, and can be beneficial for every aspect of your life, if undertaken between consenting adults. You heard it here first, Pinecones. All right, next week on Closet Ed, I bring you another tantalizing tale of a couple who chose to open up and stay together rather than suffer in silence or let their unmet needs break them up.
I went down on her and she went down on me, and I was kind of like grabbing her head. Oh, I got a little dominant energy, but this is nice. And I was like, I like this. What the fuck? I like this. And it's not for a guy.
That's next week. If you have a story to tell and would like to be a guest on Closet Ed, shoot me an email or voice memo at closetedpodcast@gmail.com. So I'm pronouncing it closeted because that's easier for you to know how it's spelled. closetedpodcast@gmail.com. I'll guard your identity with my life, I promise. And if I think your story is a good fit for the show, I will reach out and we will talk. If you're loving the show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. It helps new listeners find the show. We are an independent production, and we need all the help we can get. Help me make this show a gigantic smash hit so I can achieve my dream of giving all you undercover rebels out there social permission to express yourselves fully and live your most authentic lives. You deserve it. We all do. Down with stigma. Go out and have some fun. Until next week, Pinecones, I'm Sammy Amounts, and this has been Closet Ed.
We all got secrets.